That's what I'm looking for. I'm recording, by the way. Wait, who's?
That's the bread.
Oh yeah,
I like them long. That's not the words.
Long hair.
No. So when he come out the house, they show me. That's what I'm looking for. They know the sport. They
book. These got a big roll in the back.
Ooh. Sorry.
That's what I'm looking for.
My thug wearing.
To my rolling wearing thugs who claim they don't love you. But anytime you want something done, they do it.
That's what I'm looking for. They know just
the ball screams. Wait, shoot the ball something all night.
Hi y'all.
Well, we back. Hey. Welcome to another episode of Bubbles Bubbly. Oh yeah, that's right. We do have our time.
Let's make it churchy. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Welcome back, everybody.
Okay, really fast. I think I put it on our Instagram page. Those kids that were singing "Rip Me Out the Plastic," they made it churchy. The baby said, "Rip me out the plastic."
I've been acting brand new. Oh, rip me out the plastic. I've been acting brand new.
I mean, the harmonies on that joint. I was like, look at y'all. Y'all all went to Bible camp. And y'all are all on the praise team at your church.
Right. I was dying. I saw that. Yeah. I was cracking up. I was like, aw.
That's beautiful.
Don't black people know how to turn
everything
into a song.
Everything. We are so musically inclined. Everything has to be with a melody.
It does. I think that goes back to slavery days.
You're absolutely right.
I mean, we had to sing something to keep us going. Lord.
But look, some things just don't leave our DNA.
Right. Anyways, welcome back, you guys. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed our last week's episode.
Because I did.
We talked about Solomon on all of his wives.
And he had a plenty.
He had a whole plentiful.
700.
And 300 concubines.
300 concubines.
Man. I'm still in disbelief on that one. I don't know how that happened and how they made that work.
That's like he had 3 ceremonies in one day or something.
Maybe 5. Girl, anyways.
How do you sign the See, that's why polygamy is illegal now, because of stuff like that.
I don't know if it's because stuff just like that, but
well, he was a contributor.
Yeah. Well, either way, he did it. He was king. He was like, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Whatever.
Right.
Do what I want.
And then we was rolling it into you guys Ahab and Jezebel story, which was picking up at the end of First Kings.
Right. Anytime an old person wants to like ridicule you or whatever, they say you little Jezebel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'd be like you little Jezebel. So you said for you, it was like it always it had negative connotation around her story.
Nothing was positive, put it that way.
No, they'd be like, it's like how when they call you fast nowadays.
Man.
They'd be like, oh, you was being nothing but a little Jezebel. That is how I grew up learning her story.
Well.
So, and apparently that story rolls into 2 Kings. So Ahab, son of Omri, because remember, you guys, they go in and talk about how they had all the different kings,
right,
going back and forth, because it was Rehoboam, Jeroboam, the land splitting from north and south, and then you had all these different kings, and it was talking about, remember, some of them ruled well, some of them ruled evil.
Right.
So it goes on to say that Ahab, son of Omri, I'm just kidding, began to rule over Israel in the 38th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. He He reigned.
That's Asa. He said King Asa as Asa.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I had wine. Okay, so the names might be a little bit messed up today. If y'all hear me mess them up anyways every day. But please go back and read them and then learn the actual pronunciation. So yes, King Asa.
Asa.
Not
Just
why
say
it. Asa, not Asa.
It's
Okay.
because it's Asa sounds weird.
Okay,
It's Asa.
Asa. He reigned in Samaria 22 years, but Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the Lord's sight, even more than any of the kings before him. And as though it were not enough to follow the sinful example of Jeroboam, he married Jezebel, the daughter of King Ethbaal of the Sidonians. And he began to bow down and worship Baal. Now, I don't know if y'all recall, but I think back when we did episode 2, episode 3, that's when we first heard of Baal. Now, remember, because they're back down in Egyptian territory. And I believe if it wasn't there, it was when Joshua went into the first promised lands. When they exited is when they came across some of the Canaanites who were worshiping Baal. So Ahab built a temple and an altar for Baal in Samaria. Then he set up a pole. I ain't gonna read that name. He did more to provoke the anger of the Lord, God of Israel, than any of the kings before him. It was during his reign that Hiel,
I think it's
Hiel, a man from Bethel, rebuilt Jericho. When he laid its foundations, it cost him the life of his oldest son, Abiram. Okay. And when he completed it and set up its gates, it cost him the life of his youngest son,
Segub.
Yeah, I'm just going to let Miss J read the names, y'all, because I ain't doing this. This all happened according to the message from the Lord concerning Jericho spoken to Joshua, son of Nun. So, and now it goes on to say that Elijah, who was from
Tishba.
Sure. Gilead, he went and told King Ahab, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word.
Well, dog.
Then the Lord said to Elijah, go to the east and hide by
Kerith
brook near where it enters the Jordan River. Drink from that brook and eat what the ravens bring you, for I have commanded them to bring you food. So Elijah did just as the Lord commanded. He camped beside the brook, Kerith Brook, east of Jordan. Then the ravens brought him bread and meat every morning and evening. He drank from the brook. But after a while, the brook dried up and there was no rainfall anywhere in the land. Now it says the widow of Zarephath. Okay, so then the Lord said to Elijah, go and live in the village of Zarephath near the city of Sidon. Sure. I have instructed a widow there to feed you. So he went to Zarephath. As he arrived at the gates of the village, he saw a widow gathering sticks, and he asked her, would you please bring me a little cup of water? And as she was going to get it, he called to her, bring me a bite of bread too. But she said, I swear by the Lord God that I don't have a single piece of bread in the house, and I only have a handful of flour left in the jar and a little cooking oil in the bottom of my jug. I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then my son will die, and I will die.
Well, that's depressing.
I know. This is, again, y'all, this goes into my favorite story of the Bible. So Elijah said to her, don't be afraid. Go ahead and just do what you've said, but make a little bread for me first. Then use what's left to prepare a meal for you and your son. For this is what the Lord of the God of Israel says. There will always be flour and oil left in your containers until the time when the Lord sends rain and the crops grow again. So she did just as he told her to do. And then she gave a little bit up to Elijah, and then her and her family continued to eat for many days. And there was enough flour and oil to fill all of the containers just as he promised her. So sometime the woman's son, he ended up getting more sick. He grew worse, and then he finally died. So she went and said to Elijah, oh, man of God, what have you done to me? Have you come here to point out my sins and kill my son? But Elijah replied, give me your son. And he took the child's body from her arms. He carried it upstairs to the room where he was staying. He laid the body on his bed, and then he cried out to the Lord, oh my God, why have you brought tragedy to this widow who has opened her home to me, causing her son to die? He stretched himself out over the child 3 times and cried to the Lord, O Lord, my God, please let this child life return to him." The Lord heard Elijah's prayer. The life of the child returned, and he revived. Then Elijah brought him downstairs from the upper room, gave him to his mother, and said, "Look, your son is alive." Then the woman told Elijah, "Now I know for sure that you are a man of God, and that your Lord truly speaks to you."
The upper room.
Go into the upper room.
That's where we get that from.
Yep. Yes. So we go on to, it moves on to say that later on, and then finally, when it gets to the third year of the drought, the Lord said to Elijah, go to present yourself to the king of Ahab and tell him that I will soon send rain. So he goes to tell him. So Ahab summoned Obadiah. Oh, that's where the name Obadiah comes from. Okay. Obadiah. Who was in charge of the palace. And it says Obadiah was a devout follower of the Lord. So once, when Jezebel had tried to kill all of the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had hidden 100 of them into 2 caves. He put 50 prophets in each cave and supplied them with food and water. So that's like a little side note for y'all. It literally is written as a side note in the Bible. So when Obadiah was walking, he came across Elijah. And Obadiah, of course, because he's a man of the Lord, he recognizes Elijah right away. And he goes, "Is it really you, Elijah?" He says, "Yes, it's Elijah. Now go tell your master." And so Obadiah was like, "Oh, well, what harm have I done to you that you are sending me to death of the hands of Ahab?" Because basically he's saying, if I go back and disobey what he asked me to do, he's going to put me to death. And so when Ahab comes and you cannot find me, he'll kill me. Yet I have been a true servant of the Lord my. Has no one told you about the time? So he goes in and he's telling him about the time that he helped hide the prophets from Jezebel, et cetera, et cetera. And Elijah's like, "Okay, yeah, I get that. But I'm telling you, you need to go tell him I'm here." And so Obadiah was like, "Okay, fine." He's going to go tell Ahab that Elijah had come. So then Ahab goes out to meet Elijah. When Ahab saw him, he said, "So is it really you, the troublemaker of Israel?" Ooh.
Where?
Okay, y'all be bold. And so Elijah says, "I have made no trouble for you." And then Ahab says, "You and your family are the troublemakers, for you have refused to obey the commands." No, I'm sorry. This is Elijah telling him, "I'm not the troublemaker. You and your family are the troublemakers, for you refuse to obey the Lord's commands, and you are out here worshiping Baal instead. Now go and summon all of Israel to join me at Mount Carmel, along with 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Israel who were supported by Jezebel." So this is the point where Elijah's like, "Y'all been doing wrong for too long, and you keep thinking the worshiping of Baal is great, and I keep telling you how awesome my God is. Now we about to put our gods on display, and we gonna have a magical duel, if you will,
a magical duel.
He said, "Bring everybody up there to." Oh God, I'm about to do it again. "Bring everyone to the courtyard." "A duel is afoot. Prophet of the Lord Elijah is going to battle with the Jezebel's priestess."
1 copy, 15 shillings.
So they do that. They summon the prophets, and then they bring them out there. So basically, quick summary: the battle duel, if you will, is basically Elijah's like, "Hey, you grab an animal, I'm gonna grab an animal. We gonna put ours on each different altar. Whichever God is able to make a burnt sacrifice, as in basically causing its own flame. Whichever God can actually cause a flame to appear out of nothing and burn up this sacrifice, then you'll know which God is real." So of course Jezebel's gods couldn't do it, and the Lord, our God, does it.
So you said this is your favorite part of the Bible? It's your favorite story?
Elijah was my favorite. When you were talking about who is our, like, out of, like, where David stood out of the top 10 and all that stuff, Elijah has always been my favorite story and my favorite male of the Bible. Because one, I always enjoy the story we just went over about him going and reviving the son, the little boy, and blessing her to continue to actually have food. Because remember, there's a curse on the land and it's a drought. And I like the fact that he was like, again, let's go back to being I ain't never scared, where he was like, go on, listen, the Lord told me to come out here to you and come talk to you. So come on, bring yourself on out here. You and your little dirty, your little nasty, dirty priest. And I'm about to show you what the power do. And, and then he does it. And so, again, it ends up basically saying that, he's, of course, the miracle is performed and he's able to prove that their Lord is God. So Queen Jezebel gets upset. She ends up, pretty much, well, before he came, she, had that campaign going to murder the prophets, like we were talking about. Obadiah, went and saved all the people. So after he performs this act and God engulfs the altar in flames, he ends up having to flee because Jezebel ends up, pretty much trying to come for him and wanting to kill him. So now I'm trying to get back to where Jezebel's story picks back up, because he's at the contest. Remember, he's doing this contest against her priest.
So it seems like it picks up for her in chapter 21. It goes a little, what the summary I just found. Mm-hmm. Like she's more prominent in chapter 21.
Okay. Because what I'm looking at, it says Elijah ends up fleeing to Sinai. So because Ahab got home, he told Jezebel everything Elijah had done in regards to the battle, including the way he had killed all the prophets of Baal. So not only did he, show them out, he ended up, the Lord, I think, sends something down and it ends up killing all of the prophets. So Jezebel sent this message to Elijah: "May the God strike me and even kill me if by this time tomorrow I have not killed you just as you killed them."
See.
So Elijah was afraid and fled for his life. And then he went on to his journey for 40 days and 40 nights back to Mount Sinai, which was where Moses was, right? When he did the 10 Commandments. Then the Lord told him, "Go back the same way you came and travel to the wilderness in Damascus. When you arrive there, anoint Hazael to be king of..."
Sure.
It's fine. "And anoint these other people." In other words, he's telling him who you can go ahead and anoint to be the next king. And that he's going to end up, yes, we know that there's many war, a lot of people are dying, he says, but he's going to preserve 7,000 other people in Israel who've never bowed down to Baal or kissed him. And then it goes on to talk about Elijah, finding his prophet, or his second in command, Elisha, Elisha. So Elijah is Elijah, and his sidekick is Elisha, Elisha. So, but in other words, this is the person that he's, it's going to be his assistant and end up taking his place as the next prophet. So it does keep on pushing. And we had touched a little bit on Elijah and why his story is important here. And I know you guys, I had said that he's like one of my favorite prophets, heroes, whatever you call them, of the Bible. Because, he gets taken up by God.
Yeah.
So I wonder how old he is, because he technically never died.
These men live long lives in the Bible, so he could very well be 209. Who knows?
He's got to be older than 209 if he's up in heaven right now.
Oh, you mean currently?
Yeah, currently. How old is he? He got to be thousands of years old, because again, he never died.
I don't want to do the mental gymnastics on that one.
All right, that's fine. You know what? That's fine with me. And so as we talked about a little bit last week, Ahab, I don't know, he was a brat,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jezebel saw him as an easy target. She was like, "Oh yeah, go on, sign me up to marry him, because I'm going to basically be running.
I'm going to run him over."
I wonder if this is like, I know we was talking about powerful women behind men. And I was saying that, this is kind of like Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, where she was pushing them. She's like, take, murder people. You take over it. Why not?
Yep.
You got this.
That's crazy.
So I'm wondering if this is kind of like, if we look at it in modern day, I don't know why this just hit me, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton.
Okay. Time out.
I'm sorry.
And this is why I want you to time out.
Yes.
Because we literally just hit record and I want to get up. I'm ready to go.
I'm just saying.
The people have never liked Hillary Rodham Clinton.
I know.
Because of that.
I know.
Because in the 90s when he was running for president, ultimately got the presidency, you would have thought she was running that entire time.
And that was one of the reasons why, her election didn't work like a few years ago, because everybody was like, she done had her fun.
We've been here before.
Right. But no, yeah, I mean, she did. Because let's be honest, when he ran in 1992, he was going around and playing his saxophone and eating burgers at McDonald's. And everybody was like, I don't know if we could trust him to run the country. He ended up doing great things. But what's her mind. I'm so sorry, y'all. The sad part is we literally had just talked about people and I was stuck, and then it wasn't until we started recording that it just hit me. I was like, right. Oh yeah, oops.
I'm laughing because I also remember in the early 90s, I was a little youngster, but the rumor that was Bill Clinton was black always kind of floated around. So
he's the first black president.
Right. Him playing the sax, eating burgers and shaking hands with people and kissing babies checks out. Because he was like, yeah, I'll be president. It's cool. It's whatever.
Right. And so she probably was like, yeah, you be the face.
Yeah.
Of this campaign
and
the face
behind
of
this whole thing.
The president. I'm really like, no, Bill.
She probably wrote all his speech. She outlined his 10-point plans. No, I said healthcare first. These women.
Hey, she said, y'all don't want to give females props. Y'all don't want to give us respect. She gonna make it happen in the best way she know how.
Mm-hmm. And then, so what we were discussing, women like Jezebel. I thought of the character in the Tyler Perry movie, The Family That Prays. Sanaa Lathan's character, how she was just like bully with her husband, punking him in every direction. Yeah. And then when he realized, oh, you really ain't that good of a person. He knocked her between the washer and the dryer.
Yes, we do not promote
that at all. Not at all.
Yeah, she was a witch. I'll just say that.
And then, of course, brings us to our favorite Game of Thrones her parallels. We have Queen Cersei, who was the ultimate itch.
Yeah, because she was never even. She was, like we were saying before, like not queen of consort, but she was queen by marriage.
Regent, I think they called it.
Yeah, queen regent. Yeah, because she was queen by marriage to King Robert Baratheon. Yes. He died, and then the son comes king, so then she's queen regent. And then it's really her children that are supposed to be ruling. Right. But she's really, she playing everybody, basically.
She used all of her power, wielded her power through Joffrey, through Tommen, and poured a little girl, I forgot her name, Melissa?
I don't remember,
Marcella?
She was just I think it was Marcella. Yeah. She was just so cute and innocent. And then she fell in love, and then they still poisoned and killed her. I was like, ooh, that's bad. Sorry. Spoilers, guys.
It's not a spoiler. Game of Thrones has been out for years.
Yeah, but this doesn't mean everybody's watched it.
Well, they need to. But
get it.
As far as Queen Cersei being a Jezebel, the parallels are all there.
Yeah, they really are. So again, Ahab and Jezebel. So basically, Ahab is, I guess he's king of the south, because remember we had a king of the north and a king of the south. King of the north. So he's king of the south, which means he's king of the 10 tribes, because king of the north only has the 2. And so he's again kind of bratty. We touched real quick, I think, on. There's a guy, I guess maybe he's like a duke or whatever. Like he's somebody wealthy, and his name is Naboth, and he had that vineyard. Yeah. And he had a vineyard was on a luscious plot of land. And Ahab was like, oh, I want that land to turn it into, what did you say it was?
A vegetable garden. He didn't even want to keep the vineyard for the sole purpose of growing the grapes to make wine. He wanted to grow zucchini.
Right. Now, see, if I was Jezebel, I'd be like, you dummy. We can make more money if you just take over his land and keep the vineyard.
Right.
Because not only we own the land, we can make wine and sell that and make more money.
Right.
You want to turn it into vegetables?
Right. The sweet red of Jezebel.
Right.
Sauvignon Blanc of Ahab. Come on. But no, he was not thinking. He wanted to grow some doggone zucchini and potatoes and lettuce and collard greens and whatnot.
Yeah. And so Naboth had told Ahab, he was like, oh, the Lord forbid that I should give you an inheritance that was passed down by my ancestors. So Ahab went home angry and sullen because of Naboth's answer. So the king went to bed with his face to the wall and refused to eat. What kind of brat of a king? This sounds like Joffrey. Oh, you didn't give me my land.
Can you imagine him stomping into the house? No, I want to talk to you right now.
Everybody's like, what's wrong, my king? I know exactly about it.
No, he won't.
I tried. No, nice, and he wouldn't give me that land.
He won't give me the vineyard. And she's like, what?
I bet you she walked in with all the eyes rolled, because I'm like, okay.
You know what she reminds me of in this moment? Miss Sophia from The Color Purple. Pop-hole! Like, just stomp it in. Like, what is wrong with you?
Right, because you know somebody went and told her and went and got her. They was like, hey, Jezebel, just to let you know, Ahab over there having a whole tantrum and he crying in the chambers.
She's like, oh, here we go.
Right. They were like, well, I don't know. We can't consult him. He's carrying on about a vineyard and vegetables. So she was like, what? Vineyard and vegetables? What are y'all talking about? So I'm pretty sure
she's sharpening knives and
right. Stuff. I'm pretty sure she was enjoying someone bathing her. It was like, let me go deal with him.
She do seem like the type that was... She should have been king.
Right. And so she had to go in there and was like, okay, what's wrong? We're like, what? Why you crying? And he's like, no.
He won't give me the vineyard.
It says here in the Bible, she said, what's the matter? He said,
what's the matter, baby?
Right. Hey, baby, what's the matter? She said, what's made you so upset that you're not eating? I asked Naboth to sell me his vineyard or trade it, but he refused. And so she was like, boy, are you king or not of Israel? She said, get up and eat something and don't worry about it. I'll get you Naboth's vineyard.
She was fed up.
So again, yeah, she did some evil things. She did. She was wrong. But she was like,
justified?
I don't think she's justified, but she's like, somebody got to show power and rule. Otherwise, our land gonna get taken over. Because they're gonna be like, got a little punk, a little punk king over here crying just because someone told him no about a stupid vineyard because he wants to play in the garden and raise vegetables.
And grow zucchini.
Right. They were coming like, that's what you want? That, like, you upset about that? So somebody has to look powerful here, and it got to be her,
right? Because
he ain't doing it, and the kids I think are too young
at this time.
Yeah. So basically, she goes and says she writes a letter in Ahab's names, in his name, sealed it with his seal, sent it to the elders and the leaders of the town where Naboth lived. And in her letter, she commanded, call the citizens together for a time of fasting and give Naboth a place of honor. And then seat 2 scoundrels across from him who will accuse him of cursing God and the king. Then take him out and stone him to death. And so, of course, the elders ended up following her orders. And that's what happened. He got stoned to death. And once he was dead, and once the news got back to Jezebel, she went to... So I'm pretty sure Ahab is still soaking.
He's probably thinking, I'm never going to get this vineyard.
Right. He over there still in his feelings. And so she's like...
He's playing with Legos.
Right.
The Bible version of Legos.
So she's like, oh, I got good news. Hey, I got some news that'll make you happy. And she's like, you know the vineyard that Naboth wouldn't sell you? Well, you can have it now because he's dead.
He's like, oh.
Right. So it says Ahab immediately went down to the vineyard of Naboth and claimed it. But the Lord said to Elijah, go down and meet King Ahab of Israel in Samaria. He'll be at Naboth's vineyard in Jezreel, claiming it for himself, and give him this message. This is what the Lord says. Wasn't it enough that you killed Naboth? Must you rob him too? Because you have done this, dogs will lick your blood at the very place where they licked the blood of Naboth. So when the people had stoned Naboth, or at that little setup, basically, they left his body out there, you guys, on the street, and so That's was brutal. There. That means that body had to be out there rotting.
It stank.
And stank. And then so for the dogs to come and find him and it says lick his blood, but I don't know if they maybe ate him.
I'm sure
I don't
did.
see why dogs would just be licking blood.
I'm sure they ate, shared it.
Right. Probably tore him apart.
Yeah.
Or what was left, I guess. That's so sad. And so basically, it says that like that's what is going to happen to you. And so it goes in and saying that so my enemy you have found me. It was Ahab, is what Ahab showed to Elijah. And so Elijah was like, yep, I found you. And guess what? I'm about to bring disaster on you and consume you. I will destroy every one of your male descendants, slave and free alike, anywhere in Israel. I'm going to destroy your family as I did the family of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and the family of Baasha, I don't know, son of, I can't do these names.
Don't.
For you have made me very angry and led Israel to sin. So this is the Lord's word speaking through Elijah.
He said, pox on all your houses.
Right. And then he said, he came and said, so he said all that, right? He popped off on them. And then he said, and regarding Jezebel, the Lord says dogs will eat Jezebel's body at the plot of the land of Jezreel.
And another thing.
Right. And one more thing. So it says basically the members of Ahab's family died in the city. They'll be eaten by dogs as well. Then they'll be eaten by vultures. Yada, yada, yada. Ahab gets upset. He tears his clothes. He goes around dressed in burlap. I don't know why these people in this hot desert, when they get in their feelings, they put on thick old burlap.
And lose their mind.
Right.
He puts me in the mind of, almost in the mind of like Noah, when Noah was like, I've lost all my sense. Forget y'all right now.
Well, I mean, all of them, because like I said, he keeps telling them, stop commingling with all these people from these other lands. They're going to make you do wrong. And
let me just touch back really fast. Speaking of doing wrong, Jezebel, worshipped the god Baal.
Yeah, Baal.
And
Baal.
Baal. Baal. Okay.
Yeah.
So she influenced Ahab to worship him too, which was just like, to me, that's like the ultimate influence, making somebody change their whole religion.
Yeah.
Really. So,
right.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that the females are causing these rulers, because that's what happened to Solomon, to change their religion and whatnot. Right. But then when things go wrong, then they want to go running back to the Lord. Because remember, that's what happened to Elijah, where that what was it, that, or the prophet of the other thing, someone got sick or son was sick, and they was like, can the Lord do something? And you're like, you just built a whole shrine to a golden calf, and now you won't come back to the Lord. So it says, because Ahab went and tore his clothes and put on some burlap, that the Lord forgave him. And he says, do you see how Ahab has humbled himself before me? Because he's done this, I will not do what I promised during his lifetime, but it's going to happen to his sons, and I'm still going to destroy his dynasty.
Well.
And then so it goes on to say that for years there was no war. There was there was peace for 3 years, but then basically a war does end up breaking out. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on what the war was and who it was against. I mean, it ended up being Ahab against another territory. I can't remember which one off the top of my head.
Fighting.
Right. And so another prophecy comes about on Ahab, which, let's see, I don't know how. Micaih.
Huh?
Micaih.
Can you use it in a sentence? What's the etymology on that?
Let's see. Okay.
Micah?
I have
Michelle?
Micah High. Micah High.
Micah High, Maleho. Micah Ho. Shout out to Pee Wee Herman. I am sorry.
R.I.P. It says King Ahab of Israel and King Jehoshaphat of Judah, dressed in their royal robes, they were sitting on thrones at a threshing floor near the gate of Samaria. All of Ahab's prophets were prophesying there in front of them. One of them, Zedekiah of King Kenana, made some iron horns and proclaimed, "This is what the Lord says. With these horns you will gore the Arameans, Arameans,
Sure that.
Arameans, I think. Arameans. Yeah, let's go with that.
That's
to death. All the other prophets agreed, said, yes, go up to Ramoth Gilead and be victorious. So these two kings, basically, Ahab and Jehoshaphat, joined together against the defenses. Because like I was telling y'all, there was some war going on. But it says, meanwhile, the messenger who went to go get Macarena said to him, look at all the prophets are promising victory for the king. Be sure that you agree with them and promise success. So these, in other words, all the prophets are just pretty much filling their heads with stuff. But this other prophet,
Macarena,
him was like, he was not with the bull. He was like, whatever. And so this messenger went to him and was like, oh no, go ahead and side with the others. And in other words, give them some false hope. But don't tell them that. And so, but Micaiah replied, as surely as the Lord lives, I will say only what the Lord tells me to say. And so when he arrived before the king, and Ahab asked him, oh, should we hold back? Should we go to war with the Ramoth, against Ramoth Gilead, or should we hold back? Micah replied sarcastically.
It's Micaiah.
Oh, is it Micaiah?
Yeah.
Oh, girl, well, that's not how I would spell Micaiah. Why is there an H after the C?
Micaiah. C-A-I. Micaiah. That's pretty, though.
It's pretty. The way that they have it written.
Yeah.
But isn't Micaiah normally M-I-C-H-I-A-H?
Spell it again?
M-I-C-H-I-A-H. Isn't that the normal spelling of Micaiah?
That's Michaiah.
No, but this C-H becomes a K. Okay, we're going to save it up for later. Anyways, so it says Micaiah replied sarcastically, yes, go up and be victorious, for the Lord will give the king victory. But the king replied sharply, how many times must I demand that you speak only the truth for me when you speak of the Lord? And Micaiah told him, in a vision I saw Israel scattered on the mountains like sheep without a shepherd. And the Lord said, their master has been killed. Send them home in peace. Didn't I tell you, is what the king of Israel claimed to Jehoshaphat. He never prophesies anything but trouble for me. So,
and where was Jezebel during all this?
Right, like I guess she's getting bathed again. So it says, Micaiah continued, listen to what the Lord says. I saw them sit on the throne, yada, yada, yada. Who can entice Ahab to go into battle against Ramoth Gilead so he can be killed? There are so many suggestions, and finally a spirit approached the Lord and said, I can do it.
A spirit.
That's what it says, the spirit. And then the spirit of the Lord comes out.
That ain't the spirit of the Lord.
How will you do this? The Lord asked, and the spirit replied, I will go out and I will inspire all of the prophets to speak lies. So in other words, he's talking about the fact that the reason why the other prophets were spoken lies is because the spirit came from the Lord to entice them to do that.
Spreading rumors.
Right. So basically, the reason why I'm laughing is because they go. You're about to see this in a minute.
Get through it.
They're going back and forth. Like, all this is happening. And because Ahab is like, why you be lying to me? Why you always bring me bad news? Like, don't nobody bring me no bad news.
Work.
No bad news.
love that.
And so Micaiah is like, listen, first you talking about don't bring you want me to give you the truth. I'm giving you the truth, and now you mad because I'm getting bad. You said I'm bringing you bad news. So he's telling him all that, and so he said, you will succeed, said the Lord. Go ahead and do it. Just go. Like you keep talking about what I'm giving you is bad. Go ahead and do it. And then he says, so you see, the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouths for all your prophets, for the Lord has pronounced you doom. It says, then Zedekiah, son of Kenana, whoever it is, walked up to Micaiah and slapped him across the face.
How do you? You're not even in this
boldness
conversation.
of people back in the day is crazy.
But you're not even in the conversation. Like, he was probably sitting in the back of the console.
Right. Like, I know he was there because he was one of those other prophets, I think.
Yeah, but he's like, I'm just gonna slap him.
Right. So he was just like, oh, you, like, he was like, oh, you getting too bold in front of my king guy. It just
Bernard!
Oh my gosh. So yeah, so he's going. So how you that bold that you gonna go slap a prophet of the Lord across the face?
Everybody in the Old Testament is bold.
Nobody straight up bold, right? And then he says, "Since when did the Spirit of the Lord leave me to speak to you?"
Excuse me,
right? And so I like Michael's boldness. He replied, "You will find out soon enough." When you are over here trying to hide in some secret room.
Child, they still more tea than females.
Man, listen, this
like
got juicy. It really is.
This is Love and Israel.
This is when Scrappy and
it's Kurt Frost in there. Scrappy is Jock. They all in there.
Remember the first season when Scrappy and what's his name got into it? What's his name? Jocelyn and
Stevie. I
yes,
want to put the paws on.
Yes. I'm about to put my paws on. And they was out there wrestling and stuff out there in the parking lot.
Grass.
Yeah, I was like, these two grown men, and that's what this sounds like. Yep. Like somebody you going around. You said, first of all, it's disrespectful. You know what this make me think of? This so. Oh Lord,
just say it.
Lord, I don't know why you make my brain think this way, but this kind of reminds me.
Is it really the Lord?
I don't know. When Will Smith slapped. I said I'm sorry.
We have derailed now.
But he cold. Just Will Smith got out that seat so calmly and just everybody's looking like, oh, what's he doing? And schmeck.
Keep my wife's name out your bleepity bleep mouth.
That's what it sounds like. This Zedekiah dude is telling Micaiah. Zedekiah is like, keep the Lord's name out your mouth. And Micaiah's like, wait a minute. You the one up here acting a fool.
Hold on.
And you lying. So like he said, you find out soon, like talking about since when did the Lord lead me to speak to you? Like you ain't even speak for the Lord. The boldness.
That is hilarious.
So the king said, arrest him and take him back to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to my son Joash, and give them this order: put this man in prison and feed him nothing but bread and water. But Micaiah replied, said, if you return safely, it will mean that the Lord has not spoken through me. Then he added to those standing around, everyone mark my words.
And drops mic.
Boom. Right. So basically, they didn't listen to him. They rolled out to battle. He had got 32 chariot commanders. They rolled out. The king of Aram, or Aramean, the Arameans king. Aram? Okay. Aram, he issued 32 chariot commanders to go out and just attack the king of Israel. He said, don't bother with nobody else. Focus on the king.
It sounds like Gladiator or something.
Gladiator!
I thought you were singing Regulators.
No. Right. And Gladiator is like, are you not entertained? Is that why you have not come here? So when they saw him, they were like, "Ooh, they go." there go the king right there. So they shouted, and Jehoshaphat called out to the chariot commanders. And when they realized he was not the king of Israel, and they stopped chasing him, and then they went after Ahab. It says there are Aramean soldiers, however, randomly shot an arrow at the Israelite troops and hit the king of Israel between the joints of his armor. Turn the horses and get me out of here, is what Ahab groaned to his driver. He's like, I'm badly wounded. But it says the battle went on all day, and they ended up, pretty much, Israel's ended up fleeing for their lives. And it says, basically, the kid says, though, the king died, and his body was taken to Samaria and buried there. Then his chariot was washed beside the pool of Samaria, and dogs came and licked his blood at the place where the prostitutes bathed, just as the Lord promised him.
Who let the dogs out?
Now, it goes on to say that the rest of the events of Ahab's reign and everything he did, including the story of the ivory place and towns he had built, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Israel. So I wonder where that book is at.
But I'm trying to understand. We heard so much about, Jezebel, and who she represented as a woman. Yeah. There's a gap between her with the vineyard
her story, because it's like she done murked somebody off. And then it goes back to Ahab, where he's, doing all this foolishness, and then a war, and then he dies. His son Ahaziah becomes king, and then Jehoshaphat is still ruling in Judah. But then his son Asa becomes king after he dies.
That's a big gap.
It's a big old gap.
Because I'm just looking ahead real quick. I see a lot of name changes here.
Right. So then we move in finally to 2 Kings, where Elijah is still alive, you guys. And so he comes and it says after his death, someone named Moab rebelled against Israel. And then there's, more fights pop off. Yeah, more fights pop off. Elijah, remember we talked about Elisha, who was his assistant. He's like training him up basically to be the next prophet. Yeah. And so Elijah ends up being, he does so right by everything that the Lord has asked him to do that he doesn't ever end up dying. The Lord ends up taking them up into heaven. It just says, they were traveling, from Bethel, and he kept trying to pretty much leave Elisha and say, I'm going to go this way, you stay. Like he told him, like, hey, the Lord's about to take me up into heaven. And so I'm tapping my power over to you to go take over. And Elisha is so like, no, don't leave me. That he's like, no, I know you keep ordering me to stay here, but I'm going to follow you anyways. So he kept following where he was going. And finally, the Lord sent, it was chariots of fire from heaven that came and swooped down. They picked up Elijah while Elisha is next to him. So he gets scooped up, and it says like his robe falls off. And Elisha picks up his robe and puts it on. Yeah. And then pretty much embraces the rest of the power.
The drama in all of that. The theatrics,
it all.
Oh my gosh.
So Elisha, who now is the new prophet, he goes on, he does some additional miracles, just like Elijah raises his son from dead. He does the same thing. He does a couple of other different things. It goes into a story where he heals a man from Naaman, Naaman. Naaman, okay. A man named Naaman who had leprosy. He did that. Elisha healed him. Elisha's new assistant, somebody named Gehazi. Gehazi. I know, right? Gehazi.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
You could call him Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Not
more Jeezy,
with
because it's letter G.
Okay, fine. Not to be confused with Jeezy the Snowman.
Yeah, not Jeezy, not Jesus Snowman. Because now I'm thinking.
I don't want them. Not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it. Not
because I'm a rider. I'm a stone survivor. Sorry.
That's right. Hey, I loved his ad-libs. Like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all.
All right.
So Jeezy, who is Elisha's assistant, he gets greedy. And so when Elisha heals Naaman, Naaman's like, oh my God, thank you so much for healing me. I'll give you whatever you want. Elisha's like, no, I'm just here to do Lord's work. I just do what I do. And Jeezy's like, no, what, like, why would you send him away? He was promised, like, this man is wealthy. You could get whatever you want. He's like, no, I don't need any of that. But Jeezy goes behind Elisha's back and goes running after Naaman, and it's just like he says he climbs and Naaman sees him because he had left, and he came down and he sees him and he comes off his chariot and he's like, oh, is everything all right, is what Naaman asked him. And Jesus said, yes, but my master has sent me to tell you that 2 young prophets from the hill country of Ephraim has just arrived, and they would like 70 pounds of silver and 2 sets of clothing to give them. And so Naaman's like, oh, by all means, give them whatever, right? Like whatever they need, take it. And so he gives it to them, and then he went. So Jeezy goes and hides the gifts. Now, this is where homie slipped. You took the gifts and you took them back to your house and hid them in the house. If you were smart, you would have found a cave with a stone and hid them somewhere else.
You would think.
Either way, if I am a prophet of the Lord, don't you think I'm going to know?
Yeah.
Don't matter what you do.
I'm going to find out.
Right. So Elijah asked him, well, where have you been? And he's like, oh, I ain't been nowhere. And Elijah said, don't you realize that I was there in spirit when Naaman stepped down from his chariot to meet you?
Now, why would you lie to a prophet?
Why would you lie to the prophet of the Lord?
That's worse than lying to your mama. Because, they see
right
all your lies.
So he tells him basically, because you did this, after I told you don't do it, that leprosy that I healed off of homie, it's on you now.
You got it now.
Right. So he put it on Jeezy. And so he said he was instantly covered. Like once he left the room.
No, read what it says directly because I got to laugh again.
That last line.
Yes!
When Gehazi left the room, he was covered with leprosy. His skin was as white as snow.
Yeah. They call me Cheeks.
You see the snowman? I knew where he was going. That's why I was trying to.
Because I got snowman.
I'm sorry, what? Listen, maybe that's where Jeezy got it from.
Maybe
it's all after Gehazi, and Gehazi was white like snow.
Oh my gosh, there's a leprosy case happening in Central Florida right now. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, there's a little bout of leprosy.
Where? That's a disease from thousands of years ago.
We're in 2023 and leprosy has resurfaced.
Somebody need to make sure they shots is up to date.
Get them tetanus and them rubella shots and whatnot.
So either way, and it goes on, like I said, Elisha does some more miracles. There's another war that breaks out. Good Lord, when are they not at war, man? So
they wake up and say, let's go to war.
Right.
Let's go to war.
So there's more wars. Elisha ends up helping them win the battles. So to get back to what happens with Jezebel, it ends up saying that a man named Jehu, Jehu, it becomes anointed as king. So it says the prophet summoned a member of the group of prophets. Get ready to travel is what he told them. And take this flask of oil with you and go to Ramoth Gilead. So remember that was where Ahab died. He lost to Ramoth Gilead. And he says, go down there, find Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat.
Oh, okay.
Who's son of Nimshi.
Why do they announce themselves like that? You can't just say, go find Jehu. Why you gotta
I mean, think about it. Like in Game of Thrones, theirs are like, what is it? Daenerys, Stormbreaker.
Breaker of Change, Mother of Dragons. Storm, born, I don't know.
Yeah, Stormborn, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, first of her
name. There's always a first of their name somewhere.
Yes. So it's the same way. Who are you? I'm Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Mishi, first of
my name.
It says, call him into a private room away from his friends, pour the oil over him, and says, the Lord, I anoint you to be king. And so basically, of course, they went down there and they go amongst, they find a whole bunch of men and they're like, oh, I have a message for you, commander. And Jehu asked, which one? which one of us? And they were like, oh, for you, commander. And so he left the house. They went up there. They ended up anointing them. And it says right here, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says, I anoint you king over the Lord's people, Israel. You are to destroy the family of Ahab, your master. In this way, I will avenge the murder of my prophets. Because remember, Jezebel had killed all those prophets that Obadiah only was able to save a couple hundred of them, whatever. And all the Lord's servants who were killed by Jezebel. The entire family of Ahab must be wiped out. I will destroy every one of his male descendants, slave and free alike, anywhere in Israel. I'm also going to destroy the family of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which is the son of Baasha, which is the son of Ahijah. Good
there you go again.
Man. The dog will eat Ahab's wife, Jezebel, at the plot of the land in Jezreel, and no one will bury her. And so then the prophet, I guess he was scared. So it says the young prophet opened the door and ran.
He's like, that's too much for me.
Right. He was like,
now.
I don't mind going to deliver this message, but I don't know if I'm going to be safe. So it says Jehu went back to his fellow officers and they were like, oh, well, what did they want? Is everything all right? He's like, oh, these people, they be funny to me. Jehu replies, you know how a man like that babbles on.
And, we're reading the NLT version. The King James would have it written differently.
Right.
I like reading through this version because it's so
it's a little bit more, modern.
Yeah, modern. Mm-hmm.
And so
you know the men like that babbles
right.
on.
He was like, I bet you in the King James like, oh, thou men maketh no sense to me.
He made that. What you talking about with his face?
Right. And so they were like, you hiding something from us. And they're like, so tell us. And so Jehu says, this is what the Lord says. I've anointed you to be king over Israel. Then they quickly spread out their cloaks they took their cloaks on the bare steps and blew the ram's horn, shouting, Jehu is king. So Jehu of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshim, first of his name, first of his kind, leader of Israel.
Descendant of Moses.
Right.
Child of Abraham.
Ooh, Lord. He leads this conspiracy against King Joram. Says King Joram had been with the army at the Ramoth Gilead defending Israel against the forces of King Hazael, of Aram. But King Joram was wounded in the fight and returned to Jezreel to recover his wounds. So Jehoram went and met with him. He told the men, if you want me to be king, don't let anyone leave town and go to Jezreel to report what we have done. So they get on a chariot, they ride to Jezreel. He goes, finds the King Joram, who was lying there wounded. King Ahaziah of Judah was there too. Girl, these names
taking you out.
Man, for he had gone to visit him. Because I'm just trying to figure out, like, basically, they over here, they just, how y'all at war? Y'all doing a lot of talking. Like, this is too much talking for me. I'm talking about, do you come in peace, Jehu? Jehu replied, how can there be peace as long as the idolatry and witchcraft of your mother, Jezebel, are all around us?
Jeez.
So in other words, right, because Joram had actually rode out, right, to go meet him. So it says, then the king Joram turned the horses around and fled, shouting to King Ahaziah, treason! But Jehu drew his bow and shot Joram between the shoulders. The arrow pierced his heart and he sank down to death on his chariot.
He said,
he sure did. You asked, like, listen, I'm here to set things right, bruh, is what Jehu said. We tired of y'all shenanigans. Y'all done have prostitutes in the shrine. Your mama out here sneaking and basically ruling behind your daddy's back because your dad ain't got no backbone. He up here whining and crying like a baby.
For some vineyard.
Right, over a vineyard. Having people murdered and killed. She out here wilding.
doing the most.
Right. So
Jezebel.
And so he died, and it says Jehu said to his officer Bidkar, throw him into the plot of land that belonged to Naboth of Jezreel. Do you remember when you and I were riding along behind his father Ahab, and the Lord pronounced his message against him? I solemnly swear that I will repay him here on this plot of land. So basically it goes on to say that, they took them out there, and Ahaziah had ended up becoming king over Judah in the 11th year of the reign of Joram, the son of Ahab.
Well,
so it goes on to say, here we go. Finally,
I'll give you a break.
Yes, thank you. I was literally about to say, I'm gonna let Miss J read about Miss Jezebel.
Yeah, because this is Miss Jezebel, honey. Okay, so now we've reached. This is like the middle part of 2 Kings. It says when Jezebel, the queen mother, darling, heard that Jehu came to Jezreel, she painted her eyelids up. This is why we've always heard that Jezebel was a little wild woman.
But why does that make her wild just because she put on her makeup?
She said she painted her eyelids and fixed her hair and sat at a window. So she used her beauty to kind of just, draw him in. And she got a little dolled up, She put some lashes on. She put that ruby rouge on her lips. It was like, So then it says, when Jehu entered the gate of the palace, she shouted at him, have you come in peace, you murderer? You're just like Zimri, who murdered his master. So she's taunting him. She looked good, and then she's also taunting him. Okay?
You know what? Mm-hmm. This a little bit reminds me of when you said many episodes ago with Moses. What was the name of the movie?
Wait.
Nefertiti and
and
Pharaoh. Yeah, but the movie that the version you saw, like how she was just like,
she was using all of her feminine wiles.
She was like, what you gonna do? You gonna kill me after my son is dead? You would say you gonna kill Moses and come back kill me?
Yeah, she did. Boy, I tell you. Okay, for the record.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's bad that women use their natural prowess to get their point.
I mean, how many of us out here, because I know I've done it, has used our feminine stuff to get out of a ticket?
Raise his hand.
Okay, right.
I have used my feminine ways to get out of tickets, to get into clubs, to cut the line at Kroger, whatever.
Right.
I'm gonna do it.
Right, like we bat our eyes.
It's an advantage.
Oh, or even if we don't do the whole bold woman, we've also done the I'm lost. Can someone help me? Distress. Yes, yeah. I've done that to get our tickets.
Yeah,
ma'am, do you know I pulled you over? I'm sorry, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm supposed to start crying, and I've been thinking, we've all done it.
We have all done it. It didn't work for me one time when that cop was so mad at me for turning right when it said no turn on red. I was like,
the only one that I would, it don't ever work on female cops. I'll tell you that
absolutely
much.
not.
As soon as they get out and you see this female, you're like doggone it. All right,
she gonna read
right. Like, how can I get her to side with me? I can't cry. She gonna kill.
Sis, nah. Okay. So back to Jezebel and Jehu. So Jehu looked up and saw her at the window and shouted, who is on my side? And 2 or 3 eunuchs looked out at him. And I don't know. I hope you guys know what a eunuch is. You know what a eunuch is, right?
Yeah, it's almost like not the prophet or high priest, but like a person who is silent and they have no private parts.
There we go.
They take their private parts off.
So why are you calling out to the eunuchs though?
Right.
Okay.
Well, because if she's in her chamber, then it's either her. I think y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Please reply to us. But I think in the chambers it's only allowed to be your handmaidens and your eunuchs.
Right.
Like you can't.
What's the female version of a eunuch? There's a name for it. I
don't think they had them back then.
They didn't?
No. Okay, unfortunately, I'm about to bring it back up again. But think about in Game of Thrones, you had, what's his name, was a eunuch.
Right.
But there's no female eunuchs.
Yeah, okay.
It's always the male. that's a eunuch and is supposed to be there. He's like an advisor, but they are supposed to have no distractions.
Right.
Which is why they're eunuchs.
Right. So like a nun would kind of be like the equivalent.
Without
the missing body parts. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Ooh, that was a good smack. Okay. All right. So he says two or three eunuchs looked out at him. He says, throw her down. So they threw her out the window. And her blood splattered against the wall and on. Why are you having a trouble right now?
I'm pretty sure Jehu was shocked. He probably was like, well, I only said throw her down. Not toss her out the window.
It happened so quickly.
Right.
Because my girl got dressed up to confront him when he rolled up. And then these three eunuchs was like, all right, cool.
Right. He didn't say throw her out the window. My man said throw her down.
Well, he got to be more specific. What he should have said was, hey, get her and bring her downstairs to me. Let me talk to her face to face. He said, throw her down.
And they were like, okay.
It's kind of like...
That's why I'm laughing. I'm trying to imagine this man riding up on a horse, coming up to the thing, Jezebel all outside the window with cleavage showing. Look, roll.
She put her roll back.
Roll back.
The girls all pushed up.
She pushed up. She got her lashes on, her eyeliner,
everything,
her makeup.
She got that face out.
Her face is beat
to the gods.
To the gods, as they say. And she probably got her good lace front on. And she up there like, listen, I'm about to see whether or not either I can flirt my way through this, or if not, I'm about to die looking good. And so she talking all that smack out that window, down the window. Think you guys of Rapunzel in the night down there.
Right. It's a big
tall.
drop.
Yeah, it's a drop. So she's shouting down there, talking big and bad, while the eunuchs are standing next to her, and he like, just throw it down. Like, as I'm prepping them, they're like, okay. Push her.
I bet you anything. Those 2 or 3 eunuchs were like, I cannot.
They probably was so sick and tired.
Ready.
They've been ready.
The word.
They was so sick and tired of Ahab's foolishness and wine on time, and then his wife going around and murder everybody. Because again, if she that evil, they probably like, who next?
Right.
We ain't nobody.
They said, we have seen so much foolishness.
Ain't nobody safe around.
The kids is wild, and she is a whole tyrant. She's a say the word. I am trained to go.
Right.
And that's what happened.
So again, imagine Jehu shot. He looking up.
Wait. His neck is touching his back. Look. Right. Let me step back from the mic. He said, hey, throw her down. Throw her down. I want to talk to her. Oh, wait. Oh, snap. Oh. And he put it back.
He was like,
I didn't mean like that. What I meant was just kind of bring her, not really throw, but
and then the eunuchs
kind of walk her.
Our bad.
Sorry.
Well, we was just trying to follow your orders.
And in the back, they're like, they dapping it up.
They're probably being smart. But she made it down, didn't she?
And she had her back turned to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Sitting there like,
she did. She thought she was safe. She been reckless that whole time that it was during her reign. And ain't think nobody could touch her.
Oh my gosh.
And now push this woman out the window.
So as we continue, it says, they threw out the window, her blood splattered against the wall and on the horses, and Jehu trampled her body under his horses.
I'm so sorry. Pause for 1 second. Because y'all know we have not talked about the animals in a while. Like, if I am a horse, okay, and I'm tired because I have already been galloping through this war, pulling this heavy gold chrome chariot with spinners on it. I'm tired. And now that I've thought I had a break, And I'm sitting here minding my business while you up there talking to an old girl up in the window. Here I get blood splattered.
You know they were like,
right. Right.
Whoa, what is that?
Right. Like, oh, look. I was here for the war, but I'm trying to relax.
What you did to me?
Right. Whoa. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep telling y'all I have a soft spot for the animals because bless their hearts, they be minding their business.
So much.
They go through so much dealing with these humans.
They were like, take us back. I didn't come here for this.
Right. And then after that, they talk about Jehu had her body trouble. Not only did her blood splatter on me, now you want me to run her over?
That's what a way to go. How do you take your horse to trample over somebody's body, bro? Dang. And then it says, oh, Jehu must be black because he went into the palace and ate and drank after it all happened. So he went to go have a good old time. He was like, ding dong, the witch is dead. Hey, can y'all pour me a beverage, please? Give me two things of rye bread and some of that mutton, please. And okay, good. He just eating. And afterward, he said, someone go and bury this cursed woman, for she is a daughter of a king. So what, you feel a little bad now? Like, I should give her a really good burial because
after the woman
she's still royalty.
Splattered across.
Right. After I took my horses and trampled over this woman's body. So, but when they went out to bury her, they only found her skull, her feet, and her hands. Wow. When they returned and told Jehu, he stated, this fulfills the message from the Lord This fulfills the message from the Lord, which he spoke through his servant Elijah from Tishba. At the plot of the land in Jezreel, dogs will eat Jezebel's body. Her remains will be scattered like dung, on the plot of land in Jezreel, so that no one will be able to recognize her. What a way to go, ma'am.
That's crazy.
Wow. I don't see why, after reading all that, I mean, yes, she was terrible. But the way that we've been taught about Jezebel this entire time in our lives, how she was just... nobody's taking into account how this woman died. She was literally pushed. She didn't see it coming. She was snuffed. You know what I'm saying? Like...
True.
And I'm not saying
I don't feel bad for her because she was snuffing people anyways.
That's true. I was going to say, I don't excuse any of her behavior, but
right.
The way that people have harped on, oh, you got a Jezebel spirit. Hold on now.
Right.
Well, yeah, but...
Yeah, it's almost like people use that for two things. Either they're telling you you're an overly sexual woman,
right,
or you a boss,
right?
In which they always, oh, you bossy,
right? And the overly sexual thing, I only read one part, which was she just put on makeup.
She put on makeup.
So okay,
that's a huge reach.
Very much.
I'm going to say that from the biblical terms to
right.
say, oh, well, no, she put on makeup for her eyelids. You know what that means.
Right.
That means that she had got all dressed up promiscuously. And so she was trying to flirt her way through death.
It don't say that. It
so, I mean, it don't. I mean, even, I don't know, like, does it say that? Let me see if there's any inkling of saying anything like that.
Look into that.
Under KJ, the King James Version. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to pose this question really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So who was worse, Delilah or Jezebel?
Girl, Jezebel. I told you, Delilah was just trying to help her people out because that man was acting he was going through and storming through town.
The reason why I had to run it back to Delilah is because these are the two names that we always hear that the two women in the Bible. I'm sure there's more, of course, but like those are the main two that people like to associate with being loose or being what's the word? Too friendly and whatnot, and just using their womanly prowess to get what they want. Jezebel didn't do that. So I'm not excusing her, but I think it's kind of unfair for people to be calling you a Jezebel because
Jezebel
I'm gonna go back and listen to that song now.
Was born.
Wait, are you singing Outkast?
No, I was doing Sade.
Oh.
Why is it? Good Lord.
What?
There's other music out there besides rap. I hope you realize that.
No, you didn't.
I'm just saying.
I can't help if my brain goes to the hip, the hop, the hip,
right?
The hippity hop. You don't stop.
Do you know that song?
I do.
Okay,
but I was sorry. I was humming Jezebel in my brain for like this whole week.
So okay, so I don't remember that one that deep. So what does it say?
I don't know.
Okay, well, why you bring it up?
Then I just said I had to go back and listen to it.
Oh my God. Anyways, yeah, and Sade's one, she's saying, so she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She probably has less than any one of us. So hers, in hers, she's talking about more of a woman who came up through hard times.
Okay,
is what Sade's one version is. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, Sade, Sade. It's a song, Jezebel. Go look it up, listen to it. It's very like a smooth jazz type of song. Mm-hmm. But either way, I know that pretty much, that wraps up what happened to Jezebel. And then it goes on talking about how Jehu, like he ends up carrying out the rest of the Lord's orders, right? Like, and if you Ahab's second cousin, third wife removed from whatever else, you dying. And so he went and took all of them people out.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
I feel like, I'm just using my imagination here. I feel like if Ahab never linked up with Jezebel, none of that would have happened. He would have had a more noble reign in the Bible.
You're right. I wonder if it was an arranged marriage though. Like if his parents made him do that. It doesn't go into any of that. It just jumps straight into, and there was a King Ahab. You're like, and boom. Okay. And he was married to Jezebel.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't really go into all that. And then, so after he wipes up his family, he even goes, it says here that he kills the priest of Baal, the god that Jezebel worshiped. Just make sure, okay, it was like, ain't nobody else can worship these.
Another thing.
But it does go in to say that even though he destroyed every trace of Baal from worship in Israel, he did not, however, destroy the gold calves at Bethel and Dan, which Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he had built.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the Lord said to Jehu, you have done well in following my instructions to destroy the family of Ahab. Therefore, your descendants will be kings of Israel down to the 4th generation. But Jehu did not obey the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all of his heart. He refused to turn from the sins that Jeroboam had led Israel to commit. So in other words, he still kept the shrines. He still kept the prostitution. He still kept...
Oh, he one of them things. He did.
He still kept some...
That is so black. Like
it really is.
Why we do that?
I don't know.
Why we do that? We halfway. We be like, yeah, I'm good, but I'm still going to keep this part.
So... And then it just goes on to say that basically he gets older and dies.
That's not funny.
And that it also says for him, just like it said for Ahab, all the rest of the events related to Jehu's reign is recorded in the book of Israel, the history of the kings of Israel. Again, where is this book at? Because that ain't a book listed in the Bible.
I don't know. You're going to have to go to the Holy Land and find it.
Right. And so in 2 Kings, again, this is a book about all the kings. It just goes in more into more, different kings that come up and rule after someone dies or there's a war and people, come out. And then, the Lord is basically on the path on trying to restore his name and faith back into his people. Because again, these people have been following Dagon and Baal and everybody else, and so a temple gets resurrected and a couple of other things that happen. But it says, each king ends up being, more evil than the other, and then eventually, just like we keep saying, God's presence leaves the people of Israel and scattered. Yep. and scattered near eastern groups that populate the promised land, worshiping their own gods. So he left again because he was just like, I can't.
Sorry to cut you off, but like it's become more clear why he was like, I'm sending the Son of God down there for y'all. Like I see why Jesus came. I see why he came. He was like, go down there and get these folks back on track. But look how long we have to wait before we ever hear about Jesus.
Man,
we have to wait. There's a bunch more. There is a whole lot more that's going to happen before we even see King Jesus. Okay.
Right. And I mean, it goes in. I'm going back into the summary. It just says, like I said, there's just a whole bunch of kings that come up and they ain't doing right, and God's presence leaves. But it's a handful of the kings during that time from Judah made a brave attempt at reforming the southern kingdom, and then 2 kings embark on repairing the decaying temple in Jerusalem. Hezekiah, who assumes the throne, he finally ends up destroying all of the altars and the idols in Judah.
Hezekiah pops up at.
Okay. And then the first such policy since Rehoboam introduced the idols into the land. And this also brings up the great prophet Isaiah. He says he helped him to, do all these things to turn everybody back to the faith of the Lord. And then it says, finally, Judah, it goes down to someone named Judah, Judah's king, Josiah, ends up directing a national program of spiritual renewal. It got that bad.
Wait a minute. National what?
National program, okay, of spiritual renewal.
National program of
spiritual renewal.
NPO.
NPSR.
NPS.
That's what they probably called it.
Do you think that appeared in the Gazette?
You know what? Get your Gazette here. Hezekiah. Wait, is this Hezekiah? Josiah has issued an NPSR, National Program of Spiritual Renewal.
25 cents to start.
25 cents. Get it here. Get it right here. Hot off the presses.
I'm sorry.
So it goes back to say that Josiah even takes that program. He goes back into all the people of Israel and rereads the law of Moses to reaffirm their commitment to God's covenant. And then he starts celebrating the Passover again, or actually celebrates the Passover the first time in centuries. So he brought it back. He said, we need to get back to the basics. Because he said, I don't know where all y'all went off, but we are so far gone.
So gone.
Over you. Yeah. No Monica. Silly of me. Devoted so much time to find you unfaithful people. I nearly lost my mind. Drive past you. Okay, let me stop.
Did it up our chariot.
Wondered what she had on me to make it break my heart. I wonder if God's up in heaven singing that song to himself, because he's just like, me feel I'm so gone, so unreal.
You know, he was like, this is unreal.
Look, and Angel's talking about, what's wrong with God? He seems to be in his feelings.
Okay? Do we need to do
something? Okay.
Should we go down
that song that he wrote, something called "So Gone"?
Should we go down there? Nope, he ain't supposed to go nowhere.
Okay, got over there just so gone over you. Yeah. Gabriel in the back. Yeah. New Monica.
That is so ignorant.
is probably how he feels. I would be so gone over these people for centuries. It says centuries.
And like I said, we still have a ways to go before we even hear about Jesus.
So sad. Oh my goodness.
I wonder if he was toying with the idea of like, I'm gonna send somebody.
He had to be. He had to be like, we got people pushing people out the window. We got people letting dogs eat people off the street. We got prostitutes in the shrines. He was like, this is mayhem.
This is bedlam.
I gotta stick to my promise that I'm not gonna wipe the whole earth off again. I can't send out a flood. I can't do brimstone and brimstone. Yeah, fire and brimstone for Sodom and Gomorrah. He like, I'm running out of ways to destroy you people.
I just can't deal with this anymore. I have sent plans.
Again, that's why he in his feelings.
I have established prophets. I have sent angels. There was a burning bush. They left. I don't know what else to do. Don't talk to me right now.
I'm just gonna throw this whole thing away.
Just start over. He wanted to control alt delete.
Oh my gosh. And so it goes on in the summary to summarize the rest of the second book of Kings. The king of Babylon ends up invading the southern kingdom of Israel.
Lord.
They burn Jerusalem down and end up destroying the temple. Like their northern brothers, the people of Judah are exiled, settling in Babylon far away from their homeland. So y'all done been delivered, came to the promised land, was in the promised land. Solomon was like, okay, well, you got the promised land. I'm going to take everybody back to Egypt and own that as well. Taking on their gods again, idolizing the wrong thing.
I don't want to talk anymore.
And his sons and all the rest of these sons, everybody just went left. Like, this just don't make no sense. It don't.
So what are we looking forward to for next week's episode?
Right. Next week's episode, I think are we going into my favorite? Is that what's next? Is it Job?
Oh man, if it's Job, it's gonna be a time. I think it is Job.
Oh, it's not. Nope.
It's not?
We got First and Second Chronicles.
Oh gosh.
Oh no, we gotta get to those because I think again that's where your boy is.
Which boy?
Daniel.
That's right. Fine. When the spirit. Oh, that's David.
Oh my. Oh, I cannot do this with you.
I can't do it with myself.
I don't know why that is
Are
so
there any songs about
you.
Daniel?
No, I don't know any song about. What you gonna sing? One. Daniel survived the lion's den, lion's den, lion's den. Daniel survived the lion's den. He didn't get eaten up. Like. Yeah, no, I don't think. Well, I could be wrong. I know there ain't no good black gospel song about Daniel.
I
don't think so.
Okay, so Daniel pops up in the Chronicles, so we'll talk
I think
it.
so.
Okay.
Unless it's somebody else I'm thinking of. But yeah, I mean, and so that again, that pretty much wraps it up, you guys. There's like I said, there's just a whole bunch talking about all the other kings that come up and rule, and then it ends up getting down to Hezekiah Walker. 99. I hope you guys know who that is. I mean, we're just going off on tangents all the time singing. I'm gonna have to go use bathroom because I'm laughing too hard. Well, which one is that? That's not his first album.
I don't know. But it's an old song.
Yeah, I know that's one of his older ones. I don't think that's Hezekiah Walker's first one.
Nah.
Anywho. So again, we sticking with these A-side stories. So if you guys want to take the time, go back and read through it and learn all about Hezekiah and Isaiah and how they, end up coming up and trying to do right. I'm just trying to see how it ends off though. Like, is it like, and then there's no more kings? Or is it like,
It's good. We're gonna have to, because I'm just flipping through Second Chronicles right now. It's
Oh no, I'm just talking about the second book of Kings. Like, how does it end off?
Okay.
Like, it just says, hope for Israel's royal line. In in the 37th year of the exile of King of, I ain't doing that, King somebody of Judah, evil Merodach ascended to the Babylonian throne. He was kind to that king and released him from prison on April 2nd of that year. He spoke kindly to that king and gave him a higher place than all the other exiled kings in Babylon. He supplied him with new clothes and replaced his prison garb and allowed him to dine in the king's presence for the rest of his life. So the king gave him regular food allowance as long as he lived. That's literally how it ends.
Okay.
It goes into King Nebuchadnezzar as well. That's all part of.
Oh, that's a popular name.
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah. So again, that's pretty much it, you guys, how it ends off. So as you have been saying, we all realize Ahab and Jezebel was the original Bonnie and Clyde. Okay.
Well, she was more Bonnie and Clyde.
Right.
Together,
she was the brains behind the operation.
She was. Peaky in the brain.
You about to laugh at me.
Oh dear.
But does this kind of remind you of anyone in the modern day times?
Who, Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Well, yes, we have that, but they ain't murdering people. So they're good people.
Right. Jocelyn and Stevie J?
That's exactly what I was thinking about. Or even her current husband. Now they be just wilding. Right. Like, just y'all ain't got no chill.
None.
You always either conspiring, y'all doing something, somebody getting arrested.
She just got arrested again?
She did.
Or was it the same charge?
Well, I think it's all part of it's all the same arrest, but two separate charges.
Oh,
from the way I understand it. But I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. Like, I know people would just say that Whitney and Bobby was the...
Whitney and Bobby knew when to say, you know what, enough is enough. We don't need to be involved anymore.
What was it Whitney said? I am recording, but Bobby... I'm so sorry. If y'all don't know, here in the U.S. of Great America, we have lots of reality TV shows. And one of them, especially in the early 2000s, was Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown.
Being Bobby Brown.
It was all based off of supposed to be being Bobby Brown from New Edition. But of course, at that time, he was married to Whitney Houston. And she, of course, stole all of the scenes.
She did. She wasn't even supposed to be on the show.
She wasn't supposed to be on the show. Remember in the beginning, they kept trying to film like around her, not really include her. But she had the ratings up, okay?
She did.
I don't feel no more. I'm feeling no more. I was like, Lord. And then they got into, when did they get into that fight? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. Were they like shopping for baseball caps or something? They were in somewhere, some store.
When they did that they work for me, they were with the sunglasses.
No, that's when they was singing.
I love that part.
Yeah, no, when they got into an argument. Oh, like a fight. Who knows? I'll probably edit all this out, but yeah, they used to wow back in the day.
But I guess if Jezebel and Ahab had a reality show, we would have seen the same thing. But they would be entertaining because since he was a little punk and cried most of the time, people be like, "What is wrong with him?"
Right? Like
Jezebel carrying the show.
Right? They be like, Jezebel, somebody need to give her top billing.
Right? She'll get her own spinoff.
Right? Like it's one of those things where you are only in power because of your birthright. Yep. As king. Mm-hmm. The lineage as king, and you just appointed it, and people just respect your title as king. Right, but you over here wanting to play with dirt and grow doggone vegetables.
This kind of reminds me too of the Queen Charlotte series on Netflix. Did you ever get to watch it from the Bridgerton spinoff?
Yes.
Well, see, that's okay. Soft spot for King George because he did have mental issues.
He did have a mental disability.
But all he wanted to do was look at his astrology, look through his little telescope, and chart the planets and stars, and just he never wanted to be king like that. And his mama was pushing him.
Right.
And Shauna was like, why don't you talk to me? What's wrong with you? And
right, because they lied and try to hide it from her. Because, of course, a king cannot appear weak to the people. And that's the problem that Jezebel had. Ahab like, boy.
But she was mean with it.
Right. She probably, I shouldn't say that, never mind. But she probably beat him. She was probably like, get yourself together.
She probably not beat him. She probably mushed him a couple times. You know, like
that's even worse.
Take the two fingers and push him in the shoulder.
Oh, I thought you was
in the forehead.
Mush it like she probably flicked him a couple times. Like
that is worse.
If you don't get your grown man self together. That's probably where that guy picked it up, slapping people around. Probably saw Jezebel run up and slap Ahab a couple times.
You used to this,
right? Like, boy, if you don't stop crying and get it together, stop tripping.
That's not funny.
Oh, I know it isn't, but I'm pretty sure she had reached like. If you don't had a tantrum over a vegetable doggone garden, imagine all the other tantrums he had. They coming to fight me. They want to take my land.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to be. But okay, all right. So we are going to wrap this episode up, you guys. We're going to pick up and we're rolling into. Why are all these first and second all of a sudden?
I don't know.
So there's a First and Second Chronicles. I'm going to really, really dig down and do some research so we can summarize that one up, because I do not think that there should be a reason for us to have to do that one in 2 parts.
I don't think so.
So
I think we can condense. Honestly, just taking a quick look, we can probably condense the next 4.
Right, probably.
It's not much really to it doesn't get juicy again until Daniel or
we need to find again the next
those,
A-side story. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Tune in next week. And please, you guys, make sure you're following us on all the social media platforms. And please give us some feedback.
Yes. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. Drop us an email. We're going to be on TikTok shortly. We tweet. We have tweeted.
It ain't Twitter no more. What's it? X?
We X, yeah.
We be Xing.
That sounds so lame. But anyhow.
Yeah, it does.
Wherever you get your social media links, we will be there.
Yep. So tune in again next time. But leave us definitely some feedback.
Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yes.
Have a good one, y'all. Bye.
Peace.